inhale air really quick or take a big gulp of Diet Coke?
I don't know how to do it. I think I do sometimes.
You need to like go take a hit of Dr. Pepper or something.
I don't know how to make myself burp. If a burp just comes out, it's not intentional.
We will edit it. We'll edit the burps out.
No, it will be the opening scene of the podcast.
I need it to come out. It's right here.
That's what she said.
We'll edit. Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Thunder and Spark. Disclaimer right now. Disclaimer. This is a behind-the-scenes episode. We're focused on
BTS.
A lot of BTS for the Dusty content for the 24-hour stream. Candy Thunder is going to fix my hair.
Wow, what is going on there?
Yeah.
What a shanda.
You had a wing.
Wow.
It happens. My hair is that perfect length where the headphones push it down and it goes whoop.
That was like an all-time.
I know. I saw it on the shadow, like out of my
Yeah, we're still using this because I don't care.
Okay.
That's where we're at.
It's great.
So this is a behind-the-scenes look. If you're looking for stories in a video, this probably isn't going to be the video for you. So just a fair warning and disclaimer there.
But shout out to the Thunder and Spark 7.
Hey, yo.
We love you.
We're 3 of them. So there's 4 people out there.
There really are.
There's 4 people out there.
I don't
who are
know. I
watching
feel
stuff.
like there was a couple. I feel like, disclaimer, I think that there might be a couple more than 7 because I thought I saw more than 7 people chime in chat saying they watch. So
9.
You know, maybe 9.
But the Thunder and Spark 7
It
just
just
has a good ring
sounds. It
to
has a good ring to it. But you know, there's those 7.
It happened. It came out.
The burp.
Woo!
There's those 7 OGs
Confetti.
out there. There may be 9. There may be 10.
The Thunder 13.
Things may go wild, and we
I
might
like
get
that.
up to 15. But there will always be the 7.
Always.
Dun, dun, dun.
So one of the things that we want to recap and dive into behind the scenes of today is the 24-hour stream, which we did last week.
Oh, did you guys do a 24-hour stream?
We did do a 24-hour stream last
I had
week.
no idea.
Getting ready for the next one next week.
So, joke.
Jake.
Jokes.
So let's start with you, Candy Thunder. How do you think it went?
I think it was phenomenal. I loved it. I thought it went really great. I thought you and Tony killed it. But my favorite part, I think, was the hype the last 2 hours. I loved Caden's rap.
The finish line.
But yeah, like you guys were so energetic in those last 2 hours. I didn't know how that part was going to go. I was worried about like the 2 to 6 a.m. That's when I slept. Literally that block is when I slept. But I was worried like that part was going to be hard to get through. But when I woke up around 6, you guys were still just...
I don't remember that part.
Yeah,
you guys were just going. And I was like, this is epic. This is great.
I was like, if we can get past 4 o'clock, like I was thinking that like 2 to 4. I was like, man, if we can just get over the hump at 4 o'clock, the sun will be coming up soon. Like we're going to get through that. Like people, like we're probably going to have a few more people in chat, like just time wise. I'm like, if we can just get past 4 o'clock, and now that's where I was telling myself too. I was like, if I can just get through that, we'll be good. And we did. I think it was good.
Is it coming back to you in bits and pieces? Because there's so much that happened in there. I only remember things when people talk about specific instances, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. Yeah. But right now, it is one giant blur.
I don't know. I mean, I think it all kind of runs together, but like now Caden's got the stories edited and like looking through the files to post. I'm like, oh yeah, that story and this story. And then like,
I remember
I just
nothing.
keep seeing them all because it's like the 3rd or 4th time. And I'm like, yeah.
I read 88 stories. Like I don't.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't even remember 3 of the stories that you read at all. Like, I don't remember. I mean, I was running around like crazy that day with the kids and stuff, and I was here for a lot of it, but, yeah, I don't remember any of the stories. I don't even remember the story that I read or gave feedback on. Oh, it just came back to me. It was about sisters.
Well,
I remember it was sister themed. I couldn't tell you the exact story, but I remember it was sister themed.
There was an Ariel in that story.
Because that means that there was an areola in that story.
I said Ariel.
Oh,
Ariel.
Okay. I think it's a good thing because that means that the edited content has more life to it, right? So even people who were there for the 24-hour, seeing the video after the fact is still going to be worthy or worthwhile because they're not going to remember everything that happened in it.
Right.
And I think the funny thing is too, is that the like remembering the story on whether it happened or not, or whether you read it. It happened to me several times during the stream when I'm listening to you read it. And I'm like, wait a minute, has he read this story before? Because I've read the story and then I proofed this and put it in there. So then hearing it, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait, did we do this story? And that happened.
That happened
with between you and Candy. You were reading
over and over and over.
It was in the first live blog or second live, one of the blocks where you were on TikTok, because it was a best of Redder update story. And she's reading it and he goes, he read this Thursday.
I was like, he read this for YouTube members.
And I'm like,
he's like,
well.
And then he goes, you found the story. And I was like, oh yeah, that's when I read it.
She read it and put it on the doc.
Yeah.
Because we had I thought it was really a pretty organized system that we ended up with. Like we had different docs for each category of stories. So, which I don't think you ever saw any of those. Like you just saw the finished.
Yeah, I saw the finished product.
We had like a best of Redder updates. We had Brozo stories, mother-in-law stories, wedding stories, cake stories. Then we had like just general stories, and in each of those docs was the story, the title, the link. So that way we could easily reference them. Because I was looking for stories, Candy was looking for stories, Miles, Caden, we all were looking for them.
So there was, but this moment where I came in, and Tony was like, nobody talk to me, I'm reading stories. And I was like, you need to direct. Like, this is your baby. You got to be, somebody's got to be in charge.
You have an army here.
Yeah. So I was like, Tony, you tell everyone what you need us to do, and you start making the block docs.
Some critics would say that if I would not have procrastinated, it wouldn't have been an issue. But I don't think it was an issue, because
that's how
like
I graduated college.
I do my best work under pressure, and like that, like it. But I will say, because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no joke, it was like 12 hours a day. Because I would be here, and then I would just go home, and I would like make dinner, sit for like an hour, and then I'm like, okay, I just have to go back to the computer and just start like
and
just
there is
read
such a thing as
read stories
too
and
much
read
Reddit
stories, and there is.
Yeah,
I mean, it made me wear glasses, so that was a lot of reading. But
it does help.
Favorite part.
Oh gosh.
Mine was the last 2 hours. I just think it was an epic finish, and everybody showing up on TikTok and on YouTube, like it was just an epic finish. So for me, like you guys bringing it home at the end of the day was,
yeah.
And I also loved that it was one of the perks of the 24 hours thing was that we reached everybody in every time zone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
true.
It doesn't matter where you are. Like he was going live at some point in the day where you could probably jump in. And I know we have followers all over the world. So I just thought that was cool that everybody could be a part of it.
I think one of my favorite parts was I was very impressed by the amount of people that watched the whole thing.
I know.
Or were there for 17 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours. Like we were there because we got ourselves into that situation and we had to be there. But the people that were doing that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 hours was fun just because it was like, what do we keep calling it? The Surge.
Yeah.
You were like, is this the Surge from like Grey's Anatomy? People you would know. Like, is this the Surge for the end? And I think it was. But I also liked when everybody was here at the like.
Poor Mark.
I
8.
know.
That was
McDreamy.
Sad. That was sad.
McSteamy. Sorry.
What?
McSteamy.
I also liked when everybody was here, like that 8 to 10, when like Bree was here and Stevie Wonder and Tipsy Thunder and James and Sarah, and then the door dashing thing all happened during that time, and like that was fun, like because it was crazy. Like we were like, well, what is happening? Like the first piece of cake show, and we're like, whoa, that's cool, and then all of a sudden it was just like a nonstop flow of door dashers. It was crazy.
In contrast, after that, and after everybody left, and it was just Tony and I in the middle of the night. And the door dashing stopped.
Yeah.
And it was just us like trying to survive and just keeping the momentum going. I don't think that was the hardest part because we had a system, right? And it was just a matter of going.
And I think that I really think that the block system helped it go through because it was like you were just doing it a block at a time. It was 2 hours at a time. And honestly, Dusty may say something that I thought the 24 hours went by like that. Because for next thing you know, it was the morning and then all of a sudden it was 10 o'clock at night and then it was 4 a.m. and then boom. Yeah. It was there. And it really was moving really quickly, I felt like. And
it was because we were busy the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, you're constantly doing stuff. And because I was worried it was going to feel like it was dragging on forever, but I was like, oh, well, that was it. It was quick.
So would you do it again? I'm asking Candy Thunder this specific question.
Yeah, probably. But I think that like what would you do differently the second time? And I think there was like, and I'm going to be real, but there was the part when I left, it was between midnight and 1 a.m. when I left, and your back was hurting you so bad.
Oh, yeah.
And it literally scared the shit out of me because he has really bad lower back pain and issues with his lower back. And so like when you could barely walk at that time and you still had like a whole almost half of it to go left. Yeah. That really scared me. So I got home and like Tony and I were trying to like manage like the issue and like trying to work on it.
This is a real BTS moment.
Okay. Yeah. Here we go. So I get home and I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. And no offense, but
she was hitting the wall at the office. She was just like,
I was so tired. So I get home, I'm ready to crawl into bed. And then Tony messaged me and he was like, what do I need to do? Like, how can I help him? What can we do to manage the pain? And I'm like, okay. So I had those lidocaine patches and I was like, so I perked myself back up. I'm going to run up to the office. I'm going to bring him one. Which I shut down. I was like, stop. So he said, if we need it, I was like, I'll just put him in the mailbox. If you have to leave and come get it, it's like a 15-minute round trip to our home to here. So anyways, I have this fear of walking out to like the trash can or the mailbox at night, like when it's completely dark. And this was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm terrified to walk out. So I open our drawer and grab a steak knife. I grabbed like the shittiest steak knife, like one that accidentally got put in a box at a at a restaurant. Like it's so flimsy. And I walk out to our mailbox at 1 o'clock in the morning with 2 lidocaine patches to put on your back and put them in the mailbox. And nobody came and got them.
No, because
I risked my life.
And I pulled him. And funny thing, if I believe had all that not have happened, the rap would not have happened. Because Caden, I believe that is the time that Caden went up there. Is that right?
Oh, and did his rap.
I pulled him because I told
butterfly
I was up. No, maybe it was after. I can't remember. No, I think it was right about that time because I was like, I told Caden, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go up there because it was one of your break times. I was like, I'm gonna go up there. When I'm done, you go up there so I can talk to Dusty because I was like, that was after you and I.
We got to talk to the talent,
and I was like, I need to know what we needed to do. And so I pulled him off and Caden went up there and I believe that's when the rapping started. So
Caden owned it. It was great.
Dusty was a rock star. He's like, no, I'm good. I got this.
And there's no question. You'll always power through. I have no doubt about that.
We'll power through. If you guys could see like that BTS cam, if it was recording all the time, and it wasn't, so it doesn't record unless.
Which is a shame because we could have caught the cup knockover.
We could have got the cup knockover, and also me walking away after a chunk. Doing like a chunk of content and me attempting to walk was. And if you notice in the stream there towards the end when if he'd be sitting and go to standing, he would wheel himself off screen. Yeah. So I was like, you want to wheel over there? And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to wheel over here. So you wouldn't see him look like a 105-year-old man. I felt like the Tin Man trying to walk. Yeah. And I was genuinely afraid that after that stream ended, when I went home to crash for a little bit, that I was going to not be able to walk whenever I woke up. But I woke up and my back felt great. Yeah. Comparatively.
He has an MRI next week too.
I do. But that was a little scary, but it hurt worse to sit. Like I can't be comfortable no matter what.
Oh, and it's not because of the stream. I just want to make that clear.
No,
this was scheduled before that. So.
Right. I wasn't comfortable sitting. And then I still tried to do it to try to at least change it up a little bit. But the transition from sitting to standing is what caused the most pain. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to stand, which is fine. But then it like starts locking everything up. And legitimately, I was walking like the Tin Man. Yeah.
Shane said you were walking like you had just finished riding a bull in a rodeo.
Yeah, that's
like bow-legged.
That was wild. So I think doing some preemptive things for that, we'd probably do a little bit differently, or have some back pain things on hand.
I think also probably like the time period that you were there, not having you there so late too, would be good. Like.
Yeah, so
that way you can at least have more rest and do all that, because I just think both of you being tired and exhausted probably was not a good situation, and having it'd be easier if one of you was when you both were tired.
Tipsy Thunder's birthday dinner Friday evening after we finished the stream 10 a.m. that morning. She had 4 hours of sleep the night before. I had 4 hours of sleep in the middle of that day. By the time we got to that birthday dinner, we're both fried. and just frazzled.
The RBF was strong.
Yeah.
With both of us.
It was
There's
tough.
like
It was tough.
It was
wrap this baby up.
Yeah, it was very tough.
It was, I mean, we've had 4 hours of sleep before, but I think it was more the social aspect and just being like mentally drained. It wasn't just like 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
It
And
was
we talked about that a little bit on the Wednesday stream, but like, because I, not to brag, but I felt pretty good. I slept for like 3.5 hours, from like 11 to 2 or whatever it was. Woke up for a little bit, ate a little bagel. I think I ate my bagel that James brought me and like did all that. Fell back asleep for a couple hours. Then I woke up and stayed up until like 11ish. Slept, woke up Saturday morning ready to go. And I told them that I almost did it for the story. That when I woke up the second time at like 6 o'clock, I was like, man, hop in the shower, go out to the bar and just be able to post a picture from the bar. I almost did it for the story. But then I was like, no, I probably shouldn't, because Ted would have ended up being out for too long, and then it would have screwed everything up.
Your whole weekend.
But I had my whole plan. It was all going according to plan. It's exactly how I want to do it. It's kind of like jet lag. You got to get back on that schedule.
Yeah.
I woke up ready to go, but I think we talked about the mental aspect of it, and me being an extrovert, it didn't take the mental toll on me that I think it did you guys.
Right.
And so I didn't have that aspect of recovery. I got off and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I went and hung out with people and went here, did this. I'm good.
I think that's part of it. The other part of it is
not having children.
Yes. Your recovery process, recovery process was completely, you had complete freedom in that, right?
I was by myself.
As soon as the stream ended, it was, okay, this has to happen between this and this time because we have to do this at this time with these kids. We have to do this at this time with these kids. We have to do this at this time. And then tomorrow we've got this, and this going on.
Yeah.
So it becomes so much more regimented. And there's also, taking care of those humans.
Yeah.
Right.
Is all the in between too. So
more so Navy than our teenagers. I mean, our teenagers are self-sufficient, but Navy, requires constant.
Yeah.
At least one of us has to be
functioning
on top of our shit.
Yeah. Well, he was sleeping during the day. I did go out to my parents' house, and my mom helped me handle Navy because, man, when I don't sleep, I am moody, moody.
Candy Thunder requires 8 hours of sleep.
I do
Minimum.
to function. Yeah. And
even then, waking her up in the morning is a show. You have to just be very. I'm very, very.
Do it in stages.
I try to be very quiet in the morning. Very quiet, and you can never be
I love you.
absolutely quiet, but I try to be very, very quiet because I want her to be able to slowly wake up on her own time.
This guy just shoots out of bed when his alarm goes off.
I do,
but on the one there's one day a month where he'll snooze his alarm. And he snoozes it 10 times. And I'm like, I will end you if you don't turn that off. Because by that time, then I'm awake. And I'm like,
I will
hurt you.
I'm the guy that I have the alarm set, but I'm always awake before the alarm. And then I'm just turning it off.
Your biological.
Again, I don't have to deal with kids and all that. So I would do it again.
I would do it again. But I think it is a good every 4-year thing.
Maybe.
At max annually. But
let's not get
every 4 years. I think that's a good special thing for a leap day thing.
I would love to do a longer live, so longer than 2 hours like we normally do. I think it would be fun to do a 4 or 5 hour live.
You could do a 4 hour, 5, 6 hour, whatever it is, like a quarterly thing or something.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Easy at that.
Easy peasy. The hardest part of that, honestly, is on them for finding the stories to fill up that time. That is the hardest part of that.
And
it's the most time consuming.
It was funny because, again, the critics who would say that there was procrastination involved. What would happen is I figured out my strategy became because it's really easy to be off of the time limit, because we would go long or be done. But I tried as much as possible. I'm like, when it hits that time, we're moving on to the next doc, no matter what. Whether he's read all the stories, whether he's read 5 out of the 8, because each doc had 8 stories, the TikTok blocks had 10.
Right.
So it was like, okay, if you got through this block and we did more talking in between or whatever, you may have only read 6 stories. Well, we're not going to keep on that doc. We're going to move to the next doc.
And you would just move the ones.
And then the hack was, because I still had 2 blocks to fill. It was the 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. So those 4 hours. And I had the stories. I had some of the stories in those other docs. And then I was like, oh, I can just move these because they've already been proofed. They're already finished.
Yep.
So then I could just take them and move them from each of those blocks, because by the time I got to that, like I filled one whole block up with stories we didn't
Like the
use during
extra
the other
stories,
ones and
yeah.
moved them around. So that's why we ended up with, we didn't end up with 100 stories or 96 or whatever. We ended up with, 90 or whatever it was. But that actually worked out. It worked out pretty good. But I was like, if we just keep moving on this, because I was timing wise, I was like, how do I time this right? Because then you're coordinating with Bree's schedule and James and Sarah and all of these people coming and going. And what times are you going to be here? And that was the blocks I was worried about the most. But for the most part, we were right on schedule, and we were timing wise. There was a couple times I was like, I don't toot my own horn here, but I scheduled this thing out pretty damn on the money. Like it would be, we'd get to the story of this person, boom, we were right there. And time wise, pacing, like everything was good. So
Wednesday lives are probably pretty good training for that. Like having to cue card me around and make sure you shuffled me as needed. But that went really well.
It was like 4 a.m., 4 or 5 a.m. And I gave him a cue card a couple of times. And he's like, 5 a.m. and he's still giving me cue cards here. he's still, because it would be like, sometimes it would just be like whether I could see where either chat was going or the story was going. And I'm like, okay, like let's stop talking about this and move on to the next one. And yeah, it was funny. One of those stories, we can cut this part out if we want to, but the one story that you and James read, the last story right before we went to TikTok for the last 2 hours, was a story that I did. Listen, I skimmed it. And then it was a topic, and I was like, I was literally in the bathroom watching it, and I was like, okay, that story did not go, because I like skimmed it, and I was like, okay, yeah, yelled at her, yelled at mom did this, mom said this. But the root of all of it was like a whole religious thing, and I was like, I'm like listening to it, and I'm like, oh no, I'm in the bathroom, I'm like, oh no, I gotta get out there. Because I was like, I gotta move it along. And that was one where I moved you along pretty quick, like, because I was like, because you can see where chat, and I'm like, we don't want people fighting in chat, we don't want people bringing that stuff up, and I'm like, and it really, in the end, that wasn't the root of it. It was a whole different thing, but he's like, oh, I thought you read every story 3 times. And I'm like, I skimmed. Okay. It's 5 a.m.
This one was skimmed.
It's 88 stories. I might have skimmed a few.
It's fine.
And,
okay. We need to bounce over to bingo winners now. We have bingo winners.
We do have bingo winners.
Yeah. And so what we did was Tony created a virtual wheel and did the spins.
Insert virtual wheel here.
Yeah. So we'll bring those up on screen while we're announcing people. Do you have the list?
I do have the list.
All right. We'll go through the list. We'll give you a little drum roll. So yeah, we'll give you a drum roll.
We had a total of 56 people send in their bingo cards. So great job. Thank you guys. Hope it was fun for everybody.
I'm not very good with rhythm.
We spun the wheel. We got 5 winners here. So winner number 1 is Vanessa.
Congratulations.
Cue wheel spin. Insert graphic. Here we go. Winner number 2, Kelly Bettinger. Bettinger. Yeah.
Kelly Bettinger. Congratulations.
Whoop, whoop. Winner number 3 was Nancy Garza.
Congratulations.
All right, this next one, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, so I apologize. Winner number 4 was Wilhelmina Hulls.
That too. Hulls. Congratulations.
That's a fun name.
It is.
It's very pretty.
All right, and the 5th and final winner of a bingo prize is Leah Hall.
Leah Hall! Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you guys for playing along. It was fun. It was funny. It was fun to see the chat too, of like whenever something would happen, everybody was good. People would bingo and call it out. And if you haven't seen the blooper reel yet on TikTok, you need to go watch it. But one of the funniest parts is the beginning of that video where Dusty's like, I've seen the bingo card. Guess what? I'm not taking a bathroom break. I'm just going to absorb it. And then Miles fits in to cut 2 hours and 18 minutes later. Oh, Dusty's going to the bathroom. Like it was literally the first break he had. He went to the bathroom.
I knew it was going to happen because I was on pretty much a liquid diet that whole 24-hour stream. So
it was so funny, but no, it was fun. And then Dusty at the end, he was like, let's clear the bingo cards. And he just started doing
everything. Like, what do you need? What do you need? What are you missing? Here we go.
But it was good. It was fun. I think kudos to you guys who followed along.
Yeah,
watched the whole time to watch it. And
It was very fun.
It was. I thought it was fun.
That thing was only possible because of the community that we have and the people that took part and took days off work and were there.
That's crazy. You guys are awesome. That's why.
Crazy in the best possible way.
Yes.
People were like, I canceled work meetings and did this.
I love it. It's so cool.
That's awesome.
It was like Dusty Thunder Christmas. That's how it felt like.
Yeah.
Leading up to it, it was like getting ready for a holiday.
Like in the VIP group are like, it feels like Christmas. More people were excited for it. I'm like, wow, because we didn't know. We were like, are people gonna think like this, or are they gonna be like, oh, why are you doing that?
Right.
And I will say, we never like on the YouTube side, we never dipped below 600 viewers the entire time, which I thought was
really great.
Yeah.
I mean, 24 hours never dipped below that. When we did the TikTok portions, we got big viewers on both sides, so it was good. You guys are rock stars. Awesome. Good job.
And a huge thank you to the people that did help mod and who helped or who offered to mod.
Yeah.
Much respect to both of those groups.
Made life so much easier because we really never had to. I mean, I would watch the chat and do some modding in there a little bit, but most of the time, whenever something would pop up, I would get. They would beat me to it, and I wouldn't have a chance to do it. So
y'all were on top of it,
and I know that was one thing we were worried about with the YouTube side, especially going into it because of lately the YouTube.
Yeah,
like all
we're
the
getting more
bots
YouTube
and all that
exposure,
stuff
so
is
we
in
get
there.
more
So
trolls.
you guys were, and we had a lot of our mods who were there the entire time. Like they were there the full 24 hours, which is wild. I think there's a part where I called out a couple people just jokingly because I noticed that Ellen and Sergeant Mac disappeared for a couple hours. I was like, oh, would you take a little snooze?
A little breaky break.
Oh, forbid.
I'll allow it.
I'll
allow it. No, it was great. They were, and it was fun because not only that, were the mods were great at interacting too. They were great at like they were
answering questions.
They were great at answering questions.
Welcoming new people.
It really took a whole like of me not have like me or Candy or any of us having to sit there and watch the chat and make sure we answered questions and make sure we told people to F off or to just be nice. And like, we didn't have to worry about that. They did a great job. I saw the clip of like, you ever see those TikToks where it's like cultural moments that I'll never forget and like pop culture moments, and there I saw the one of John and Kate +8, remember them, and like her screaming at him during it. She's like, oh my god, would you stop breathing like that? You're breathing so loud. And he's just sitting there and she's like, you're over there like and he's just like,
I'm breathing.
I don't know what you want me to. God, what? That was the ultimate.
What do you want from me?
That was the original.
That's
Karen.
how it used to be. Whenever I had snoring issues, and I'm sure I still do, but I had to retrain myself to go from a back sleeper to a side sleeper to stop those issues. But during that retraining phase, as I would be snoring on my back, Candy Thunder was not a fan and would get very upset. And I'm like, I'm unconscious. I'm not choosing to do this.
Your snoring was not just snoring. It was so loud,
like earth rattling,
like sounds like I'm choking on my face.
And it was like the beginning of pregnancy, and I was so tired, and you were so loud. I was like, I think if I smother him, I won't regret it in the morning.
I survived somehow.
But I would go to the couch, and by the time I was big pregnant, I was like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, I got kicked out several times.
You need to leave. I need my bed.
I can't do this. You've got to go.
I mean, I get it.
In the beginning, I moved to the couch because, you're not like uncomfortable physically, but.
And you're like, get out of my space.
And it wasn't just the snoring. It would be like this really loud snore, and then it would be like, and then I'd shake him, and then he'd go. And I'm like, how? Like, you were just awake. You just spoke to me. And then 5 seconds later, you're like, I'm like, do you not feel yourself doing it?
No, because I'm unconscious.
You weren't unconscious. You spoke. There was some consciousness.
Yeah, but you're like
happening.
Asleep, though.
And I don't know how that happens, but it's still, I'll still catch myself. It's like.
He just still does that.
My lips get very relaxed or something. And when there's just enough air in there, it's make it.
And I'm like this.
When it's like triggered. It's not even as loud as the snoring, but it's just that moment where you're like, I told you to shut the fuck up and you made another noise. Like,
And I'm like, OMG.
It's like when it's like when you yell at the dog to stop barking, and then they do that last little.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, motherfucker.
That's why I have these headphones, because it went on way before I was pregnant. This went on for like years, like 5 years of him snoring. I don't know what fixed it, but something did. But
He got hit in the face enough times.
So
while he's
his
sleeping.
snoring was so bad that I would put on the noise canceling headphones, turn on the noise canceling, and it would like isolate that one sound of him snoring. So that's what I could hear in my headphones. And I would have to turn on those like 12-hour ocean videos where it's the waves crashing to drown out the snoring.
Now you could just turn on the Stories to Fall Asleep to playlist on YouTube.
No, I can't listen to things like that to sleep.
Now you're
like,
about to say, I can't listen to him talk.
I just
Probably.
It's like, listen, I can't have that in my subconscious.
I'm gonna make a 12-hour loop of me snoring and put it on your auto playlist. That way,
Wait till she's asleep.
I don't have to do that.
You just
anymore.
wait till she's asleep and you change the playlist in her phone and it's just all of a sudden snoring. And you're like, she reaches over to smack you and you're not even in bed. She's like, what the? Like,
tries
just
to
has a
skip to
whole
the next
moment.
track, and it's 12 hours of me going. Okay, so sorry, tangent. We have a separate idea to get into discussion with you about. We did bring this up in the VIP live that we did this last Wednesday show, but Tony, care to explain the latest brainchild here?
Tony gave birth to another Dusty Thunder idea on the heels of the 24-hour stream.
Yeah. So
tell us about your child.
Let me preface this by saying a couple of things. One, this is the moment where we know whether you're watching because we need you to comment what you think about this idea. So there's your homework. There's your homework. We expect at least 7 comments. So, second,
each
there's 7 people watching.
Gotcha.
So those 7 people should at least leave a comment. So, also, before I brought up this idea, I brought it up to Dusty, and I was like, oh, I wonder how long I have to wait to pitch this to Candy, because I was like, after the 24-hour thing, because this was like Monday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So then and I'm like, well, I'll wait a little bit to do it. And which we've probably talked about on the podcast, these two are really bad about surprises and gifts, and like they just
waiting until
waiting for something.
Basically, we have no patience.
Yeah, basically it's like, oh, I got you something for your birthday or for Christmas. It's gonna be great. And the next day it's like, here it is. Like Christmas is 2 months away. I couldn't wait.
We're terrible at that.
Yeah. So I equally have I'm a little bit like that. And so I was like, I'm just gonna message her. I'm gonna be a cow. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, how long do I have to wait to kind of pitch you another big idea? And she was like, just tell me. And I was like, well, I just need it. I can't remember what you said. You might have said something.
Have you met me?
Yeah. And then she was like, just tell me. I can't wait. I was like, well, it's more like I'll put together a plan to say, just tell me right now. So I said, all right, here it is. And I sent her an image, and it was the Dusty Thunder logo with a neon live thing underneath it. And she goes, I don't get it. I was like, okay, well, that didn't.
I'm like, we go live all the time.
I was
this
like,
isn't new.
This joke.
When he first told me about it, I'm like, we already go live.
Yeah,
bro.
I was like, I'm gonna have to work on that. But I really like the branding of that, the live thing. Anyway, so I was like, and then it clicked, and she's like, oh, you mean like an in-person thing? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, what if we did a live Dusty Thunder show with a live audience? And it was just up on stage, and we did the show, and it would be kind of like a normal Dusty Thunder live, but obviously I think there would be other elements mixed in with it. It would be you reading stories. It would be kind of like a podcast / live. Like you would read stories, you would get reactions, but then it would be kind of like the situation where we might have a topic or something we want to talk about. I was like, we had a live show, and then I was like, okay, so if we did a live show, but then we had, meet and greets, we had a Q&A. What about the night before we do a live podcast recording with the live, and it was all these things, and I'm like, Dusty was like, well, okay, sure. And Candy was like, she sent me my new favorite GIF. Mm-hmm. And it said, that's a disturbingly inspirational idea. So I was like, all right. So she didn't say no.
He's saying there's a chance.
But then when she came into the office and we were talking about it, she did the whole like singing her chair. She's like, and I think a lot of that's the introvert side of both of you. Probably.
For sure.
Yeah, it's not just that. I don't know. Like I get so nervous about change or like doing different things. I wasn't as nervous for the 24-hour stream because we were just expanding stuff that we had already done. Yeah. But
this is totally different.
This is very different. And I'm like, would people want to come watch it? Would they would have to travel here? Like how would all of the logistics of it work? And I know that we could map it out, but at the end of the day, I'm like, if you don't, like if no one wants to see it, like that's a ding to his ego. That's not ego, but it is. I think it would be. There's things that scare me about it.
It would be the same thing, kind of like the 24-hour live. Like, is this going to work? Are people going to show up? Are people going to watch? Right. Are you going to be reading stories in the middle of the night on YouTube to 3 people watching? Like, it's that fear. It's like, okay, if we go rent a 400 seat.
That's what I'm like. What if we don't make enough money to pay for it?
Yeah, if we rent a 400 seat theater and 25 people show up, it's like, okay, well, we sure have a big head on ourselves thinking that we could do this.
But
the good thing about this kind of approach, and yes, it requires a lot more work on people to participate in, but it also is like a pre-reserved kind of thing. So if we did it, it would be people reserve their tickets in advance next date, so we know before the event how many people are going to be there. The thing that there's logistics things to figure out. And, a lot of it's going to be more of an internal type of thing of figuring out how to do this. Because, again, there's things that it's not just like the live, like where we're just going to come in and do what it is. Like there's an expense. There's a planning. We have to book a venue. We have to, do all of that. And it's like, okay, like, we have, people, we love our followers and, we want everybody to be able to come to it. We have a lot in other countries. That was another thing I was thinking about. I was like, man, we have such a big crowd in other countries. Like I don't expect anybody to travel and come to it, to be honest. Like, I don't know. It's not an expectation. I mean, I do, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like, oh, they follow us. So
oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, well, you follow us, so yeah, you're going to come buy a ticket and come. Like, I don't expect that. So
I was like, well, then what do you expect?
No. I mean, I do. Listen,
we expect 800,000 tickets to sell.
And the other thing that made this idea kind of jump out, and we have a great new complex here in Joplin, and it's really 2 nice, blocks away from here. It's a beautiful facility, and it's like a 400 seat theater, so it'd be 400 people. And I'm like, in my head, in my math, I'm like, all right, 800,000 people. Surely we can get 400 to show up. So I don't know. It's in the very early stages of it. It's the good thing is that the idea that I've pitched, neither one of them have said an outright no yet. So,
well, never. I think we always field the ideas,
right? It's
the question for you watching this is this something you would genuinely be interested and willing to travel to Joplin, Missouri to come to?
And I think there's the part of it too that we have to be honest with and buy a ticket. I mean, we'd have to pay for the facility. It will be a ticketed thing. There will be, because there's going to be expense on our part. But I think that something we're really good at is like, if you buy a ticket, you're going to get your money's worth, and you're going to, any experience package we may have with other things, with meet and greets, with Q&As, like we're going to make it worth it. It's going to be something, like it's going to be a great experience, because if there's one thing, and I said this in the VIP, if you don't know anything about me, there's one thing that I am passionate about, and it's events. And if I'm going to plan an event, it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be good, and it's going to be something that we're going to put a lot of effort into, because whether it's the 24-hour live, whether it's the graphics on a live, we go all in, and it's going to be good. It's not going to be a thrown together Dustin on stage with a microphone for an hour reading
just
a story
back and forth, being like, hey.
It's going to be, I want people to be able to walk away from it. Yeah. He's just like, I guess we'll read. Like, it's going to be like, I want it to feel like if you're going to go out and go see a show, and that's what you're doing. It's going to be that level of a production.
Start boning up on my crowd work.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be that level. Like, it's not going to be, it's not something we're just going to throw together, is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be a lot of planning, and it's going to be very professional. It's going to be an experience.
Got to work on my magic tricks.
With our agency and with Dusty Thunder, I don't think we've ever put anything out there that was like half-ass, or we didn't go hard at until it was.
I don't know. The Dusties were pretty.
No, but I mean,
you
even
put so
the
much
videos,
work into
like,
that.
That's
Like
what
that.
It wasn't our fault. I get it.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. But
that just fell
that's
apart.
the only
like 10
thing.
years.
and that was not for a lack of effort. Again, that was a massive amount of work that went into that. And some would say, all of us were like, you don't, it's okay. Like, but the standard that Dusty has is up here. And everything he puts out for everybody watching is up here. And there's times where we're like, are you sure? You know, we're kind of like, okay, like it's
you don't have to go. It doesn't have to be that much,
but it does. And like I'm that way with. So the way he is with that, like that's the way I am with an event. Like it is going to be like I have a standard for myself for events when I plan something, and I'm like, it's all out. I'm going all out. It's going to be this. It's going to be
well, and we have all the tools in house. To make it
for sure
everything it needs to be. So it's early stage. We just want to know if it's something you would genuinely be interested in buying a ticket to and traveling to Joplin, Missouri to actually attend. So just let us know. Let us know your thoughts on that. And watch for more news on it. Now, moving on to a different area because we could spend all day talking about that. There were some questions that people had or some things that they wanted to know about behind the scenes stuff here. So specifically, to start us off, team members here.
Right.
We have very much a Wizard of Oz kind of approach to everything here. Even for what we do for clients, we're the wizard behind the curtain that most people on the front end never see. Me getting in front of the camera was an odd thing for us. So like part of us step in front of the curtain, right? There's still some people behind the curtain that do a lot of work that you don't actively see all the time doing stuff. So Tony, are we talking about what does each team member do specifically when it comes to Dusty Thunder stuff or Dusty Thunder and Storm Cloud marketing?
Both. And just a brief explanation of what it is you do for the agency and Dusty Thunder.
nothing.
That's accurate.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tony's one-on-one that is now going to be filmed. That's it.
Calamity Ted.
I left my pen out there. Do I need to go get it?
Yeah.
You just break it.
Tony, every time something happens, whether like a mistake or anything, like, or Tony and I go back and forth all the time. But he always says that he only brings a pen. Like he doesn't have anything personal on his desk. Which is not true.
Not anymore. But that was
He's taking his pen and
slowly
leaving.
give you gifts like that have to stay on your desk. So he will always try to hand over his pin, which is now like he has like 5 pins.
Oh, because literally for a long time I had a pen, and it was kind of like a reference to Ryan on The Office, where he's like, I could leave here tomorrow and nobody would know that I was ever here because he has nothing in his head. So I'll just anytime that Candy and I'll go back and forth a lot. I'll be like, here, take the fucking, and I'll just sometimes I'll just throw it on her desk and be like, I'm done. Like, that's it. Or if something happens, I'm like, do I need to bring my pen to you?
And I gave him a pen. So he'll try to give me back the pen that I gave him. And I'm like, that was a gift.
Okay. So on the Storm side, on the Storm Cloud marketing side, Tony is our experience coordinator. So he's the main point person when it comes to communication for new prospects that are interested in doing a project with us. So he'll talk to them and gather all the information and then run point on communicating with the team to figure out, what the recommendation is from the team on what needs to be done, communicate that back with the client, and then be the main point person as that project is moving forward too. And then does other stuff as well, gets into social posting, gets into a lot of other things on that.
A lot of the
as well.
internal stuff.
Yep. And you guys have a pretty good idea what he does on the Dusty Thunder side of things. Now, Jessie is our creative director. She actively avoids being on camera.
We've tried. We tried for the 24-hour. We've tried for a podcast, and she's done.
You guys
won't do it.
I thought there was some hesitation whenever we asked her about a podcast guest, and I thought she was going to do it, and I still think that she might someday. But Jessie's a peach. Jessie, you guys would love Jessie. She's good. She's an introvert too. Very, very hardcore.
She likes animals more than people.
Yes.
But she's also, she created the brand. She created the, all of the logo. She did all of that.
She's a creative genius.
Yeah.
And she has her own photography stuff on the side that she does in addition to Storm. She's just great. Jessie, I sent her a video and it was all these golden doodle puppies. and they were like tackling this person, and I sent it to her, and I was like, "This is heaven," and she's like, "That's all I want in life. I just want to be at the bottom of a pile of puppies."
Yeah, I send her those all the time of like especially when it's like puppy photographers and stuff. And she's like, "There's a video. Have you seen the one of the dogs in the bus? They go around and pick them up somewhere.
No.
And that's they pick them up for like doggy daycare. But this bus,
it's like a
this
school
little
bus.
school bus van goes around, and the dogs are waiting there to get on the bus, and they get on the bus, and there's just a bus full of dogs going to school.
Yeah.
And it's Jessie goes, "Oh," she's like, "That's it. That's all I want in life." She's like, "I'm gonna drive the puppy school bus."
That's so sweet.
That's awesome.
But it literally, the dogs just sit there like kids waiting to go to school, hop on the bus, and yeah.
So Jesse, as a creative director, oversees pretty much every creative project that we have, and does a lot of graphic design, a lot of photography, and coordinates basically everything else on the creative front. Caden Thunder, y'all know and love. In addition to his mad rap skills,
that's why.
So he and Miles are both 100% dedicated to the Dusty Thunder project. So they edit videos. Caden edits the majority of the videos that you see posted on TikTok. Miles edits some stuff that is on the YouTube side now. But Caden runs hard at editing videos, and he's got his own system down now and cranks them out quick.
He also does a lot for the Wednesday lives now too. He helps find the stories.
He helps with the stories, and we kind of go back and forth. It kind of just depends on like workload for both of us and what we have going on. Because sometimes I'm like, "Hey, can you find the story?" I don't have time, and it'll be vice versa because he goes to school and does all that. So sometimes it's me, but he does a great job finding them too. But
he's on it,
and he's also another one that like. It didn't start out with him being on camera, and then it was like, okay. After a few times, we're like, okay, he's so funny.
He's so funny
without really trying to be funny.
I love it, yeah.
And then you put him in front, and it was great. And you guys always love when he's on there.
Effortlessly awkward.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I love it.
Again, how is he not Candy's child? Because they have so many similarities.
I know, it's so great.
It's so funny.
And Miles, who you know as well, does video editing and also handles a lot of the like the Discord channel side of things.
Right.
I'm rarely on the Discord, so
I don't even know how it works.
He manages that side of things.
I don't even know. I have it.
What does it mean?
I have it. I don't know what it means. I mean, I guess, does that mean that I'm old? Because I don't know what it means.
No. So Shane,
with it.
Shane, who you don't actively see on camera either, he is one of the main Storm members who does video motion graphics. He's a motion graphics wizard, like does video special effects that allow us to do some higher end kind of video stuff. We've done some casino projects where they wanted to do like a Back to the Future themed thing. So we made a car fly. We had the fire trails behind it, gave superheroes powers. Like it can do just crazy things with video motion graphics and special effects. Also as our web guy. So everybody here has about 12 jobs. And he runs on the web development side and also like the video motion graphic side. He and I work together hand in hand as part of a process on video editing because I'll handle the front end and then he handles the back end of it. Candy Thunder.
And he also does the podcast. I don't know if you just said that.
Yep.
Yeah, he edits those and he does it very quick.
Yep. He's very good. He's got a very good process for that. Candy Thunder. You want to tell us about your job?
I don't know that I do a ton with the agency.
You're about to be like, I don't do anything.
I don't really do anything. I don't do a ton with the agency anymore. I handed off billing, which was my main job, to Tony, and he does great at it. But I work part-time for the Dusty Thunder stuff, and that's podcast, this outline, and Sunday, Monday streams, and finding stories for all of those. And
also like a lot of community engagement and interaction with the VIP community and making sure that we're talking to that group and getting feedback and keeping everybody informed about stuff that's upcoming. That's a big part too. And also you are still a huge part of the Storm side of things.
No, I am. And
she is HR. She is
on a given day in our office, the HR paperwork is stacked about like that because we are always workplace appropriate.
I'm and I say people person, but I mean just the team people, not outside people. Like managing that, like I can walk in and know if something is wrong with Tony, and hopefully figure it out depending on his mood.
I'm always in a perfectly happy
That's not true.
And never have any
That's
issues.
not true. And my other part-time job is managing Dustin.
Part-time?
And Dusty.
Part-time? That's like 3 jobs in one.
I know.
And I mean, he runs so hard at home, with Dusty Thunder and Storm. So I think making his life easier in any way, shape, or form, which he does so much at home too. So, I mean, there's a reason that living on Ascon 3 is your norm. But I wouldn't have it any other way because you wouldn't accomplish what you do.
Wouldn't.
And
I at first, as a spouse, like bucked against that, and that was hard to understand. But now I understand it.
How is he just an asshole all the time?
I know.
All the time.
And now I get it. And it's like, you can't be you and still be, 100%. You can't do what you do and be an empath and understand feelings like the way that I do. Because it just wouldn't work. You would be too distracted.
I'd have to be actively running 100% at being an empath to do that. And it would detract from everything else that I do. And I'm very mission focused and task focused.
And when we had Navy, I didn't want to work after we had Navy. I wanted to be able to stay home. But that's not the way that things worked out.
Right.
So it was like, come back to the office. And when I came back part-time, I realized that I didn't want to stay home all the time.
Yeah.
Like it was too much for me to
start
stay home
losing
with Navy.
yourself.
Yes.
well, I think that part of that is what makes you guys a good, like running a business together, is because you have that empath side.
Right.
But he has that 100%, that what's the word I'm looking for? Like the more the logic side, or the whatever word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But like how it's a balance, because it can be, if there's a situation, whether it's in the office or with employees or with the client or with that, like you guys really have both sides. Like it's, he looks at it this way, you look at it this way. And then I feel like that really helps.
The yin and the yang.
That really helps make the right solution that works for everybody, because you see both sides of it, and okay, how do we work to make that?
Right. Well, and I think most importantly, we've learned how to see each other's side and be able to absorb that information and come together to make a unified decision, which has been a process, right? That's not something I have to overnight. That's a process.
And I guess I manage the money for both sides of like Dusty Thunder and Storm.
What money?
Yeah. That's exactly why I manage the money.
But I think that
go ahead. No, go. You're good.
I also think that if people like the fact that Dusty does what he does on a daily basis is, I don't know many people that could spin as many plates and do as many things as he does. And the way especially when he's in the zone, like when he's on it, it's just boom. He'll just knock out one thing after another, whether it's running a digital campaign or creating something for Dusty Thunder, or reading a story, or picking up kids and going to do that. I mean, it's just, I don't know how he does it. And very rarely like makes a big deal out of it. Like it's not like, it's just, this is the day.
No, the only time he makes a big deal is when he's sick.
Yeah. When he's sick, that is a whole other thing.
Oh man, baby.
That's a version of Dusty
I take care of you.
That's a version of Dusty that we don't like to see very often.
There are some times, and by the way, my job here at Storm is
everything.
Basically, yeah.
I'm a jack of all trades, a master of none. So I will, as Slack needs picked up for a lot of tasks or areas that other people manage, I jump in and do those things as well. But my main jobs are marketing strategy. I do the digital ad campaigns, so the digital marketing side of things as well. Do video filming and rough cutting and coloring and audio mastering, and then I pass that off in the process to Shane, who finishes it off with graphics and cutting out the finished product side of things. But there are times where, because in the early days of this business, it was me working for an older married couple, and there were no creative services offered in-house at all, and I started self-teaching so that we could do those things. So I know how to do almost everything that we do here. So as something happens with a team member who's going to be out for a little bit, or if something hits the fan, I end up taking on that role for a period of time. And we went through that not too long ago. And I remember Candy Thunder and I both know that when that's going to happen, if I'm absorbing another job, that means I have to run even harder. And some of the freedom that I've had over the past year of like choosing to go to bed earlier and, not having to work night shift every night. Whenever it happened most recently, and when it happens, we'll have a conversation ahead of time, and it's basically, hey, look who I'm going to have to become for the next couple of weeks is not going to be pretty. It's going to be stressful, and I'm going to have to run even harder. And every time she's like, I know what's coming, and we'll manage it and we'll get through it. So we're at least self-aware enough to know, when things are changing and how we need to adapt what we do here and at home to be able to survive those times. And we survived it. And like yesterday, I think might've been the first day where we finally hit the tail end of that. And, I'm used to coming in during those times and failing every day, right? Because I'll pour too much onto my task list that day, and I know I'm not going to accomplish it all, but that's okay. I'd rather have an inhuman amount of things to do and get almost all of it done than have a short list and knock it out and be twiddling my thumbs, right? Yeah. So yesterday,
this man cannot sit still.
No.
Okay. So yesterday, I'm going through my tasks and I'm like, oh shit, wait, am I caught up? What the fuck is going? What is going on here? I think I'm caught up, and then I have to transition back from that running, doing the 3-job kind of approach to the gear I was in before, and that's a little bit of a process too. So I walk up to the whiteboard and I'm like, all right, I want to make sure I'm not missing everything. Let's map out everything that's going on right now. Where's this? Where's this? Where's this? And we just kind of look at everything as a whole. But I'm geared back now. So,
and I think a couple of things with that is I think that. I think Candy and I are kind of on the same page a lot when it comes to managing.
Oh, for sure.
Managing Dustin.
I was going to say that too. That is literally part of our jobs. Yes.
And, I think we've got it down pretty, like I like to think that I've gotten good enough at it that I either, whether we talk about it or not, like I can tell his mood, I can tell his workload, and I know, because there will be an email with a request from something, and I know, like, okay, this is not a right now thing. And I know that, okay, I need to give it a couple days. And then, because it'll be like, hey, did somebody have this? I'm like, yeah, I've got it. It's just here. It's time for you to do this. And it's like, because in a normal day of Dustin, we'll take the Dusty part out of it, the actual Dustin. We'll just go for today. We had this morning, I walk in and he's recording a YouTube exclusive video. Then we have a call with a prospective client. Then we're in here doing this. He's got a digital call review later. It'll be some kind of web stuff or video production and answering stuff for clients. And that's just the day. Like he just bounces between all of these different things. And, you've got to manage him. And I think that both of us do pretty good with sometimes you got to talk him off the ledge a little bit when he's like really fired up and it's like, calm down. It's okay. Yeah. Here's the process. And when we had, when he was talking about that period where he has a whole bunch of things to do, I thought we did pretty good of, okay, sitting down, here's the list. Here's what you're doing today. Here's what you're doing tomorrow. This can be moved to here. This is punt that to next week. And we do a lot of that of like, do we need to do this today? Do we need to do that? Nope.
Have to.
We can move that. And I think that we've got a pretty good flow, even when things do get crazy like that and kind of overwhelming, it can be.
Agreed.
Tony and I are very similar people. I think the only thing that differs for us is the introvert, extrovert thing. But our sense of humor is like, it's like copy paste on both of us because we get each other going.
And sometimes that's good. And sometimes Dusty will look over at us and be like, you too. Like,
get to fucking work.
Like it's just the two of us because he'll be like, you're just ganging up on me over here.
We love it, yeah.
Or I feel like I've got the chatty Cathys at the back of the class over there.
That happens too.
Yeah. Yeah, because especially if there are things going on with like Taylor Swift or other things you guys care about, you guys go. You
thought we were going to make it through the whole podcast without mentioning Taylor Swift.
You guys will get wrapped up in it and spend a large amount of time focused up on that.
Or we'll find a Reddit story and we're like, dude, you got to read this.
Like, oh my gosh, she'll be over there and she'll be like, oh my god, and then she's like, hold on, and then she'll send it to me, and it'll be like 20 minutes later, and I'm like, oh my god, and then we'll have to talk about it.
I found this meme that was like, I'm going to be fine, but I need to be dramatic about it at first. Yeah. And I was like, this defines us.
And that's, I mean, honestly, and that really can define Dusty sometimes too.
That's true.
So it's like, sometimes you got to let him sometimes he'll blow up and freak out about something. And then, you just got to give it a second, give it a minute. And then it's like, okay, we good now? Let's go this way.
It's like Inside Out.
The
anger one where it's like,
yeah. But he's underselling himself about being a master of none because he's
a master of a lot.
He can go shoot a video, edit a video that can it is wonderful.
Bring you
he
to
can
tears.
Do graphics. He can tell a story. He can write a story. He can do it. So don't let him fool you. He's underselling himself.
All right. And now we asked our VIP group for questions.
A VIP.
Very.
Very VIP always bad.
Your money's coming.
I can pay.
All right. Well, Anna's Get Situated. We asked the VIP group for questions that they had that related to behind the scenes stuff for Dusty Thunder. And the first one that was asked was from
Mary West.
Every time I see the name, I'm like, is it Marie? Is it Mary?
Mary West.
Mary.
That's why I paused.
I know. That's why I did it. I was like, okay.
Every time we see Mari,
it freaks me out because I want to say Mari or something.
I say Mari, yeah.
or Marie.
It's Mary.
Yeah.
Mary. Mary West.
And I even, every time I read your name, I was like, I'm sorry.
Her question was, what is the process of finding stories? Who is the final yes man on what stories get read? The final yes man on what stories get read are me and Tony. And we have and Tony, like, I'll veto a story that Tony has, or Tony will veto a story that I think is okay.
Because we don't always agree on them. Because that'll happen. I mean, that happened on the VIP Live. There was
it just takes one no, I think, for it to pull a story.
It's got to be a unanimous deal because, like, there was one on the story. I was like, it really made me nervous, and we'd put it on there, and we had talked about it, and I was like, okay, we'll do it. And then it was like, it might have been the day before or something. And I was like, the story's really, I think really it was don't. The day of. I really don't know. It was, and it was in the first block of stories.
I was like, pull it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and she's like, okay, if it's because there's things we don't talk about and don't touch, and
that's what can veto it if it's a divisive thing or a sensitive topic that can be polarizing or triggering. There are a lot of things we intentionally will stay away from. So
politics
it's just
and religion, I will tell you, are one of the.
Tell you that for free.
We're not going to touch those.
Stay away from domestic violence
unless somebody skims a story and then one sneaks in there.
That's true.
Things that happen to kids. There's a line that's drawn there too. There's a lot of things we won't touch that I don't want to read, and also we don't want to put in front of you guys. So that can veto things. But you guys are the final veto. A lot of times you're the people who find the stories in the first place too.
Yeah, I would say that Tony and I do the most reading of Reddit stories. The process of finding stories is normally, and I think we're getting better. Like, there's titles that I'm like, and I'll give it like the first 3 sentences. If a story isn't written well,
same way.
I'm like, I'm moving on because I need something that's going to captivate. And so, I mean, we'll make that approach, but I think it's probably down to like 5 to 1. We'll read 5 stories and pick one out of the 5.
Where it used to maybe be 10 or 15. Now it's because I do the same thing. And sometimes it's not fair. I get it. Sometimes it's not fair by judging off of a title. But a lot of times I can just kind of skim the title. And now Reddit, they got that little preview and you can and you read it and you're just like, I don't, it's not.
And it could be great. And we'll get tagged in them later on. I'm like, oh, it is a really good story. Yeah. But I also think that I'll call it my FYP on Reddit now when I open on my phone is much more tailored to the stories that
you spend time on.
And the Dusty Thunder Reddit too, subreddit is really exploding.
And we joke about it all the time. I joke about that Candy finds all the really goods. Like she'll find those longer ones, those more in-depth ones for like Sunday Mondays. I try to, and I don't get as much in the way. I like the funnier ones and the lighter ones and like the oh shit moment ones versus the like real deep thinking type of one. Like that's just the type of story that I like. And then, I'll put the other ones in there when I see them because if it's a good story, it's a good story. Like it doesn't matter what it's about. But I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going.
So I got a question for you. How does your approach when finding stories for Reddit differ from your approach for evaluating follower submitted stories?
It's a lot of the same.
It's a lot of the same. Yeah. It's if I'm confused a little bit into a story, if I'm not following, if I can't track, I'm going to move on because it's just, and sometimes like if even the topic of it, like, and I'll say it like sexual assault is something that we are not going to
a lot of times that if that's the trigger warning and they, they'll put it in there. Like, I mean, thank you for sending your story but
we don't want to trigger.
We don't do those kind of stories. So we'll see it and it'll just, okay.
And
move on.
Our main reason for not doing stories like that is because we know that we have followers, that have had to fight for their life or have gone through a lot of trauma and reading stories about that, we don't want to trigger somebody who has been through that.
Right.
And we just don't, we want to stay away from it.
Which is why, and I think I've noticed this and I think it's a good thing. Like the follower submission emails that we get through the website, I think have decreased but the post in the subreddit has increased. So,
which is great
because there may be a story that we aren't going to cover, and it's not because your story isn't important and your story doesn't matter, but it's just we know that we can't cover those types of things because of the environment that it can create. But that subreddit has grown massively. It's like 17,000 people in it. And so I've noticed because we used to get 30, 40, 50 emails submissions through the website a week. And now it's 10 maybe.
No, there's way more than that.
I feel like there's not as,
but still the preferred route is always.
I'm like, I had 5 in my inbox when I woke up today.
Well, I know, but it like goes in flows too, because some days you'll get like 5 or 6 or 7 in a day. Other days you won't get any.
When he goes live, we'll probably get between 10 and 20 submissions from that live.
I'll always explain when we're talking about where to send follower submissions that I try to talk them into using the subreddit, because if there's a chance that it's not going to get used, and also if you're in a situation where like you need timely feedback, sending it indirectly to us is not the way to go, because there's a high chance that it's not going to get used or not going to get answered. Or if it does get used, it's going to be a month before you hear something back. So getting it in the subreddit will get the entire community there, which is great to jump in and start giving feedback immediately. And I think that's the way to go.
I agree. Sense. And we are like actively checking that subreddit when we go for live
That's usually
stories.
the first stop. I mean, my first stop is there. Follower submissions, then over to Reddit, and then when you got to fill in the gaps for that. And I think it's the same with Caden. He does the same thing when he finds stories, and then he'll send the doc over, and then it's sometimes it's, hey, I don't know about this one, and then we'll kind of swap them out. But it's we've got it down to a science pretty good though now.
The removing of stories on the AITA subreddit. I'm like, could the mods just like climb down off the high horse?
I will say the only thing good about that is that most of the stories you read on there are well written. They're spaced out. They're good. Like they're good, easy to read, because sometimes they're just like, sometimes it's a giant wall and it's.
But when you go in there and it's like, this story's been removed for blah, blah,
everything.
Like it has. What does your rule book look like? Because I think it's a 3-inch binder.
It's got to be. And who's got the time?
I don't know. Those mods take their jobs very seriously. That's all I'm gonna say.
The Dusty Thunder mod's a little loose on the Dusty Thunder side. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, next question here. Tanya D, aka T. I read that name so often as we're doing the gift goals things on Wednesday Lives. Tanya Downs. I'm a proud member of the Thunder and Spark 7. I think we need merch to show our exclusive membership status. We do have some Thunder and Spark merch.
She said she saw that and she's like, I need the Thunder and Spark 7 t-shirt.
Oh,
I was like, okay.
That's pretty good. Oh yeah, I'll get to work.
Also, I don't even know where that came from. I think I just said it one day. I think it's the 7 just sounded good with the.
You're thinking the Magnificent 7, and then it just kind of rolled into it. Sure. All right, more questions here. Are these from Tanya D as well? Okay. So, question: what made you decide to branch out to podcasting?
Does she mean the Dusty Thunder? I wonder if she means the Dusty Thunder channel in general, or just podcasts.
Probably. I think probably. So, well, no, I think. Because what we do on our normal daily post is one thing. Podcasting, this and the Dusty Thunder podcast are a different arm of things. And I think ultimately that comes down to us trying to make sure that we have content for multiple platforms. It's a diversified approach, right? So it's an additional form of content that we want to have on YouTube to be available for people, longer form content. Also, more content for like the Spodio for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, that side of things too. So it's more long form content that we can have, and it's a way for us to be able to bring other people into the mix too. Like we have guests on the Dusty Thunder podcast. The 3 of us get to sit here and chat in a much different way on this than we do in the normal content. So it's a way to address different kinds of content and get different people worked in, and to get a different longer form type of content.
Plus, it's 2024. Everybody's got a podcast.
Everybody.
Another podcast.
Everybody does.
I think, like you said, I think it's like a natural evolution type of thing. Like it's okay. We post these videos. Let's have a setting where we can talk more about them and more in depth, and it doesn't need to be a 5-minute. At the time, a 5-minute video or so. When we started, because TikTok has expanded where they're at. But what was the limit before? It was like 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, I can't remember.
We
but it was
started
shorter.
right when the 10-minute rule went into
Oh,
effect.
did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
But
was
then
right
it's like, so, but sometimes, instead of the part, it's great and like just sit and talk about it. And then the Thunder and Spark thing was just because we were like, well, we want to talk about some other stuff.
Yeah.
Like just,
Well, and that we needed, I think, more content, like you said, for Spotify and stuff. And then this gives that behind the scenes look of
Spodio.
Spodio. This gives that behind the scenes look, allows us to just kind of talk about like what it is that we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Candy, another question here. Do you find doing the podcast easier than reading stories because it isn't live? By the way, you crushed your story reading on the 24-hour live stream.
Yes, you did. Oh my gosh. I need to watch it. I need to watch
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it.
I need to watch it because I guarantee you were the only one that you did great. You crushed it.
You were just hyper aware of
you
your
crushed
reading.
it and you crushed everything on the desk.
Yeah. So, which is so weird because I can have a converse. Yeah, literally. I crushed it. Literally. I think, like you get out, I don't know. I just get nervous. So like
I think when you get nervous, your chest starts tightening up anyway.
And I'm a shallow breather anyway. So like reading, and I'm a fast reader. Like I read very quickly. So I think it came out quickly.
The approach of narrating like forces you to slow down your reading and think more about diction than about like reading. And it becomes a very different process. And we talked a bit about it afterwards, and you were like, "How do you breathe?"
I have the same problem though. I do the same exact thing that you do. Like I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, I'm out of breath.
I'm 8 months pregnant
because I'm like, and when you're doing it too, another thing that I don't think Dusty gets the credit for is like, there's a lot going on. Like with that chat, especially that time, there's 2 chats going on.
Yeah.
Like that was just one, but on the TikTok sides, there's 2 chats going. Mm-hmm. That's moving, and if you look for a second over there, it like distracts you from where you're at in the story. Because that's what I told her. I was like, just don't even look over there. Just focus right on the doc and look at that. And because I do the same thing, and I like to think I'm a pretty good reader, but then I get up there, I'm like, that's the same way
to read, but then be able to speak it with like some kind of emotion, like you're telling a story, and then in your peripheral, be able to see chat and really in my peripheral, I'm just watching for like the color blocks. So that's if we get a new VIP member. Mm-hmm. So there are some things that stand out that I can see in my peripheral, and I'm not looking at it right then, but I'm like, oh, okay, I see that happened. Yeah. So after I finish reading this part, I need to pivot over there and address this.
And we're just like, oh, what's that?
You just get used to it, man.
That's what I was going to say. I think I would have to do it multiple times. Honestly, I wasn't comfortable being on camera at all. And now I'm sitting here doing a podcast and I don't feel uncomfortable. But in that moment, I was extremely uncomfortable because I hadn't done it before. And
you do it more often, you'd get the rhythm of it.
Yeah. And I think you started not doing it live. You weren't live when you started reading stories. Correct. So if you got messed up, like you had that practice period before you went live where you were comfortable doing what you did.
And I think we've both said that we like the podcasting or being back here better because we can screw up and we can be good and like, but I felt like on the 24-hour, because usually if I read a story on a Wednesday, like I hop up there, I read a story and that's it. On the 24-hour one, when I was reading multiple stories throughout that time, I was like, oh, okay. Like I got more comfortable with it because it's not just the one and done quick, get up there, do it and move on to the next thing. It was like, oh, okay. But
I think finding your rhythm, finding your cadence and the breathing side of it is practice too, because you're going to get a better idea for how many sentences you can do in a single breath comfortably. And then you get more accustomed to like your speaking voice, which by the way, there's something that's really funny that people talk about in VIP group, and I've seen it multiple times or in chat. When you read something, you don't read it in your own voice, right? There's a different voice that narrates in your head whenever you're reading something. And we hear a lot of people say that their narrator voice in their head is now Dusty Thunder, especially when they're reading Reddit stuff, which is hilarious. When I read something, I hear it narrated by Dusty Thunder. Like I hear it narrated in my own voice, and I don't know if that's weird. Was it freaking you out with my finger on my head?
Yeah, you just kept pushing. It was distracting.
His eye pops out.
I don't know.
Send it right into his temple. The mom and me was like, let's not do that.
I don't know if that's part of the process, but it might be. It might be part of the narrating process where eventually you get used to reading in your own voice enough to the point where you start hearing it in your voice in your head before you even read it. And that allows you to kind of address things as you're coming up on them.
I mean, I don't know about all that, but I will say that when I'm reading stories, like like a lot of times I'll read them and be like, I can hear how you would read it.
Do you know who narrates my life? Morgan Freeman.
Really?
In my head.
Morgan.
The alarm clock is going off.
And Candy came up to read a story and she knocked over everything.
That's exactly
as she looked at the camera in panic.
Now it came to a critical decision. Will she be getting up today? She knows she must do it, but must she do it right now?
No, for 30 more minutes.
What's the other guy, the Planet Earth guy, the David Attenborough? Is it David Attenborough or Richard Attenborough? Richard's the Jurassic Park guy. Right. Richard Attenborough.
I don't have any. Oh, gotcha.
I think David is the one. He's like, and there you see, the young turtle makes its way across the delicate sand to the water.
And now she must choose.
It's a terrible impression. But
her husband has begun snoring once again. Will she kill him or will she allow him to live?
Whenever I get emotional, like anger, excitement, it's Samuel L. Jackson narrating.
I'm tired of these stories on this stream.
That's it.
That's awesome.
Okay, next question.
Danny Ford.
I added this one this morning because I thought
what is the most rewarding and equally most challenging aspect of this social media journey?
Most rewarding. Tony, go.
The most rewarding. Wow. I would say number one is I think it's really cool, the like community that's been built from it. I think the VIP group, and not even if you're not in the VIP group, like that's no big deal. But people who are there regularly in the chat, people who are talking, like back to the VIP thing, like you just, like we had Ellen and Ellen and I think one. Ellie. I think you said
Ellen and Ellie. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like two followers that live close to each other and then met because of that, and like building those relationships, I think is really cool. Also, I think it's the other side of it, like the competitive side, I guess, or the like. Anytime we're doing something cool, like whether it's climbing the ranking or whether it's this or whether it's this video got X amount of, like, that's cool. Like I think that's really, really, like, I think it's cool when that happens, but. I think just the cool, like the environment that's been, the community that's been created, I think is really unique. And I think it's, I don't know, maybe there's other content creators out there that have the same thing, but I feel like it's unique. And I feel like we've worked really hard to not only make that community, but make it a positive community. Like we don't put up with a lot of bullshit. We don't put it like, because we want it to be
protective of that.
We want it to be especially that VIP Facebook group. Like we want it to be a safe space. We want it to be a place where people feel comfortable and accepted, and like it's a place to go on the internet where there's positive. And it's
I don't think anybody else has that, man. If they have it, I haven't seen it. And I think it makes it completely unique.
Yeah, the positive experience. Like that's just, I hate seeing negative stuff, and it's all over social media. And you see it in
groups, even in private groups, like you. I mean,
you get on that Bluey Moms group. It's a whole lot.
Yeah, I left.
Mums.
I was for one company, I was in their VIP group, and like some of the stuff they allowed, like the people to say, like to each other. I was like, yeah, I'm not here for this, and like I'm not going to buy your product because you're allowing this. Like that's just not cool. Like I don't want to be a part. I don't want to come to this group and be. Like see all the negativity, and the fact that like the owners, approved that and allowed that to go into the group. I'm like, that's no.
What's your positive?
I was thinking about it, and you already said community, and that's probably my number one too. But I also love the closeness of the three of us. Like since we started this journey, I also think like, we started it just you and I. And then Tony jumped on board, and it just added so much more to it. And so I really do love filming Thunder and Spark. I do. And I love the Christmas one that we did. And so, yeah, I think that's something that people don't know. Like, and you did work for us, and I loved you working here. But I do think that this adventure has brought us closer together, and I do enjoy that.
What's
so
the
much.
Phrase you use? Trauma bonded.
We trauma bonded.
We trauma bonded over Dusty Thunder.
This did facilitate your transition to Uncle Tony, though.
Oh,
right? Like Navy Thunder now. It's like she loves seeing Uncle Tony, and talks about it every time that we're coming to the office. So
Yes.
that kid.
Tony,
It's so funny. Like that day on the podcast, she just kept bringing me snacks. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Licked snacks.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want this. I'm like, okay, thank you. And she'd do it every piece. I don't want this.
She's
Anyway.
a riot.
All right, what's your positive?
So everything you guys have said, and in addition to that, I think generally hearing that we've been a positive impact in somebody's life,
Yes.
Yeah.
whether that is, we read on a note yesterday where it's, somebody who just listening calms their anxiety, or listening to the
Sorry.
content
I just sniff. I didn't want to do it in the microphone.
There goes
I'm
that
sorry.
moment.
has been instrumental in helping them learn new ways to deal with problems and to see solution paths and to be able to break things down and to be able to think about things. And hearing that counselors and therapists are actually telling their patients to listen to this content and use
Right.
it is
Teachers using it as showing examples to their high school kids of,
Yeah.
hey, here's how to handle
That's
this
so cool.
situation.
the positive.
And they get better grades apparently.
Yeah.
when you talk.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was going to say.
The positive impact that we've been able to have in people's lives, I never expected, but I think that's been the most rewarding, like heartwarming thing.
for sure.
It almost brings you to tears to think about how in the beginning of this we would have said, look, if we can make a little bit of money doing this and substantiate or at least have it be self-sustaining so that we can keep doing it, we'll be okay. But if we can actually have a positive impact in one person's life, it's worth it. Now, like, we have a positive impact in so many people's lives, and that I think there's a positive benefit to it. I think that's also my most challenging aspect. Because of that, there's a duty behind it now, right? I feel a duty to you. I feel a duty to
Stop saying.
Jesus Christ.
Stop saying duty.
I can't sidestep the duties comment
Let's use
anymore.
like responsibility, not obligation. I don't think obligation is the right word, but a responsibility, anything but duty. You said duty like 10 times in a row. I feel like you said it so many times that word's got to be censored out now because
I need
you
a
said
duty.
duty.
I need a duty counter.
Duty.
It's the call of duty.
There's a lot of duty. Anyway, sorry. You feel a responsibility
This is why he gets so annoyed with us.
because this is what happens all the time.
I'm here trying to be serious, and they're here just like a couple chimpanzees throwing turds.
To be fair, if either one of us were saying that or something like that, you were the first one to chime in with a "that's what she said" or this joke.
Strongly disagree.
Also,
You're the first one.
if you noticed how many times he said duties before Tony and I started laughing, please let us know.
We were doing good because he said it, but he just kept saying duty and duty and duty. I feel
Okay.
this duty like it's too much.
This duty coming on. Oh,
Okay.
we're so mature.
Anyway,
Feel a sense of responsibility.
there we go. That's the word.
More so than ever before to keep doing it, but to also whenever I'm reading stories. And by the way, if for some reason you hadn't ever heard this, first time I read a story is whenever I'm reading it aloud, live, like on content.
Yeah.
I sight read everything. So that we can have a blind react, and I want that to be like a real fresh reaction, but I'm much more mindful now of trying to do it in a way that can be helpful to people.
He did the devil thing again. I knew what you were laughing at.
So that is both
Okay.
my most rewarding and challenging aspect of this journey.
And you were talking about like people learning from the content that you provide. But also
It's a drill. I hear it.
Okay.
Be done.
It's two buildings down.
also sorry, that drill made me lose my train of thought. But also we've learned from the content that we've done.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, like even in our marriage, like I can tell you like where you land on the ask on scale. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, but seriously, we have learned, from stories that we've read, like things not to do, or if we find ourselves in a certain situation, we can see the
For sure.
solution paths differently, I think now than we could before we started this.
Agreed. I feel like I've become a better father and husband since starting this content. I feel like it's helped me be more self-aware of decisions and when I am about to something up, being more aware of, the implications or what's going to happen if I choose path A or path B, and being able to choose more appropriately. It has helped with a lot of things and family stuff that goes on too. I think that because of the kind of content that we read and what we're into, we're able to see motives and solution paths so much quicker now. And it's not that people are always going to listen to us, but we're able to offer a perspective now that I think is much more mindful and wise than it was previously.
Right.
Yeah. What's your challenging aspect?
Dusty being a dick.
No, I think it's more just time. I think because this has turned into a second business that I think we always feel strapped for time. Like even today, Navy wasn't feeling good. And I'm getting ready to come film. So the only times that I wear makeup is when I film. But so I'm getting ready and I'm trying to do all these things, and Navy doesn't feel good. And she's like, Mom, please come cuddle with me. And so it was just like, I didn't have that like freedom to go do that because I had to be here to do this. And that's just an excuse. I mean, not an excuse. That's just an example of one thing. But I think time is you can't more productive with the time that we have. Maybe would be the solution to that. But
and I think on just a quick thing on Dusty's challenging thing too, that responsibility, like he takes it very seriously on days when he's not feeling good, when he's overwhelmed. I mean, there's moments where it's like, we try to tell him like, it's okay. Like, no, I've got to do it. So he takes it very seriously. He feels very responsible for continuing to do like, and we talk about it. He can, that switch that he can do because he wants to just keep doing it for you guys. So.
I could have the flu and we would still do a live, and I would try to act like I was completely fine during that live. And then as soon as that live ended, I would collapse on the floor.
I mean, even the 24-hour, your back is killing you by the end of that.
Never
and
showed
if you watch the TikToks from those last 2 hours and your first 2 hours, you can tell no difference.
I agree.
You were on.
That's why that was my favorite part.
Yeah, you were. I mean, I was on the surge. You were just a professional.
You guys did the damn thing. Like, you just freaking did it in those last 2 hours. And to me, that was just very impressive. Like, I was blown away by the amount of energy and just everything that you had. Now, we're going to insert a picture here of what happened to Dusty when he hit end live. And he melted into a puddle of pain
and was literally
laying
just
on a concrete
frozen
floor.
And we were like, is this like...
We weren't sure if he was
like
actually
having an episode, a moment, or, just being... And then I cracked a joke and he kind of smiled.
Yeah.
So I thought,
prior to that, all I could do is give like a half-hearted thumbs up.
Yeah.
That's the only way of communicating that I had available to me at that
my
point.
challenge, I mean, I don't, picking what to wear for the podcast, that's challenging. That's a challenging thing for me. That was a whole issue this morning.
Oh man.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it's like the reading the stories and like sometimes you're just kind of over it and you're just like, ugh.
Okay.
Having to sift through a bunch of stories to find.
We're wrapping up.
We are going to rapid fire the rest of these questions in the next 5 minutes.
Look at you.
Okay.
She's calling an audible. She's calling an audible.
Wow.
She's calling an audible. Also, go ahead.
Has adding the Dusty Thunder TikTok page and everything that has brought since I don't know what that says. I think a word got like auto-corrected and I'm not sure. Has adding the Dusty Thunder TikTok page and everything that has brought since put a starring on other aspects of your life?
Strain. I think it's
strain.
Yeah. Like everything that comes with it, did it put a strain?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No,
mine's just like for them it's going to be different answer than for me because mine is just like I come to work and that's what it is. It's you guys have.
I don't think so.
Why does Tony's avatar have a plastic looking arm and hand, but the rest of him looks smooth? You
know what? I have an issue with this because I have no fucking idea. And every time
I don't know.
Every time Jesse does something with the AI does me dirty every single time. They put me on a boat in a polo. Also, my Tony Spark thing has glasses. I don't have glasses. I mean, I had glasses the other day, but I don't understand because I've noticed that too. It's like I have a plastic thing.
Struggled with me a lot too, and I think it has something to do with our beards.
It doesn't like our faces because the AI every time with Jesse and Candy is like amazing. Yeah. And then she has to put a lot of work in to make Dusty and mine's like
I think it's the beard.
Even more. So I don't know. I don't really know.
Okay. Am Bracker said, How often do you find yourself going by your TikTok?
TikTok.
How often
That's
do you
the
find
dark web
yourself
of TikTok.
going by your TikTok names in your Muggle life? And I responded with a picture of our grocery list where it said beard balm, candy, chews. And I said quite often.
Yeah, more so now. I'll do it in a playing fashion. You know, if I walk into the room, I'm like, Dusty Thunder's here.
Yeah.
But I think it's more common for them.
It's about to get dusty in here.
Yeah. I use that line often. We can't talk about how, but
not at home.
I think it's more often for them to use my Muggle name during content.
Yeah, we do that
than
all
it
the
is
time.
to use our content names during.
And I
content.
feel like it's because I feel like there's a certain part of it that it's just a character, right? Like it's, you know,
it's persona.
it's an on camera thing. My friends will call me Tony Spark when they're like giving me shit about something. They're like, "Oh, Tony Spark." I'm like,
damn straight.
damn straight. They'll call me at Tony Spark. At Tony Spark _ That's what they call me too.
At Tony Spark _
At Tony Spark _
That's what my friends call me.
No.
Okay. And also asked, where did Dusty's term of endearment for candy, tater, come from?
You know, so you called Ava Wee Tater Tot back in the day, but also, what's his name? The comedian
Ron White.
Ron White.
Tater salad.
Ron White has a lot to do with that too. Yeah, that's where it came
They
from. So,
call me
but Ava Wee was Tater
salad.
Tot, and she was like 5 at the time. So I started calling her Tater. She's been Tater ever since.
It's true. It's been
He
a
calls
very
her
long
Tater
time.
a lot.
Mhm.
That happens a lot. That happens more than candy, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
There was one that was, I would love to hear your story, how you met, how he proposed, how you were able to blend your families. It's hard. Maybe it's out there and I have missed it. How did you know she was the one? And yes, that is
Proposal story is
the
out there.
proposals. And in the first ever podcast that I was in, we did a 30-minute recap of our relationship. So I would say if you want to know those things, look for the Candy Thunder podcast, because we do talk about a lot about us together in those podcasts, especially
It's
the
a
very
love
first.
story, baby, just say
Yes.
It's still tough though. Blended families are tough. I think
Yep.
we've been fortunate in a lot of aspects. We've been lucky in a lot of aspects to have, for the most part, several groups of like parents and grandparents that get along, and it's a pretty seamless thing.
Super thankful for the people that are drilling upstairs.
Yes.
She also asked, what do you guys do for fun? Lake, alone time. What do you do for
More
fun?
work. So I wouldn't say it's a fun thing, but I have discovered that I have to dedicate at least a little bit of time to like me time things, more decompression. I started playing piano as like a creative outlet. I have to learn to play it first, so the learning part of it, I try to mix with some exploratory time with it to be like a real creative release. Started mixing some Call of Duty multiplayer time, which is not a stress reliever, but there is some rewarding benefits to it.
When you're not great at it, like you and I are
Correct.
not,
Yes,
it becomes more anger inducing than it
Yes.
does relaxing.
It's just stressful. So
Yeah.
I'll choose that way. And as long as
You
I
would
actually
love
have a
Spyro.
list,
You would love Spyro.
we'd have a good time with Spyro. We need to bring it up here. We have the Xbox up here.
Yeah, you would absolutely love it. I promise you 100%.
I've got now a recurring calendar event that has 4 emojis on it. It has like the brain, it has like the flexing muscle, and then it has like a game control and a piano. And during those times, I'm challenging myself to just choose one of those things. And it's more, I view it more as self-development than like fun or doing anything. Because if I'm doing creative exploratory sessions, I view that as self-development, like self-improvement kind of thing. So,
Do you know?
I go to the lake.
Yeah, that's what I was
I go to
saying.
the lake, hang out with
4-letter word,
friends. Yeah.
Tony, lake.
Also been getting into golf lately. I'm becoming a golf guy, so that's been fun.
One of my favorite things to do, and he completely does not understand it, but when I get home and it's just me in the car, I love that like 10 minutes, like seat warmer on, like just me time.
Driveway time.
Oh, I love that so much. Like it recharges me, like especially if I've been here all day at the office. Like it recharges me before I go inside.
that's an introvert thing too. And I don't know why I don't have it. Maybe because I'm just mission focused.
I think you're an omnivert.
But I have even the process of between parking the car, turning it off, removing seatbelt, opening the door, getting out. I have like a muscle memory process for that happens in less than half a second. And I can be like parked, out. And it's just...
I need to know where my driveway people are at.
Yeah,
who sits in the car and just...
Depends on the day. Sometimes when you've had a day...
Do this.
I mean,
all too well 10-minute version. That can heal your soul.
Literally about to say when you have those days and you pull in the driveway and you're like, I just need to hear it one more time, and then you listen to it 3 times in a row and you're like, okay, go inside, crawl in bed.
I need the.
That's so funny.
But the seat warmer, and that, ugh.
Sometimes then it like progressively the song gets louder every time you listen to it.
I know.
You're just like, by the end, you're just like,
it's volume 54.
I'll get
the patriarchy.
I'll get a Life 360 notification that Candace has arrived home, and 10 minutes later, I'm like, is this shit broken? What is she out there? She's
and she's just in there. She's just in there tossing me the gun.
Yeah. He'll come out and be like,
I remember it.
Go.
Do you live in there or do you live here? I'm confused.
Right. For the next 10 minutes,
she's
I live
like,
right
hold
here.
on, we're coming up to the bridge. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Or she'll sit out there and talk to Ava for a little while if they have drama
if it's
to
just
review or whatever.
Ava and I will, or we're listening to music.
Or if Navy has fallen asleep in the car or something like that.
Oh,
too.
when she was younger, those car naps and pulling into the driveway, it was healed my mama's soul.
Pure bliss.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
I think that's the list of questions we had to go through.
Yes.
So, this is just a behind-the-scenes look, no stories or anything. We'll have another recording session next week with you and I for a Dusty
Tony
Thunder
and
podcast.
Dusty. Yes.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
That'll be story-focused. So we'll see you for that, but please comment and let us know what other questions you have. Answer our questions for you.
Yeah. Let us know. Let us know about the Dusty Thunder Live.
Yeah. Would you be down for that?
The driveway people. We need to know that. We need to know.
Driveway people.
Yeah.
There was more. We had more questions for you. I
probably
can't remember,
did.
though. Yeah. Anyway, it's been a fun time. Thanks for being here. You VIP member of the Thunder and Spark 7.
Thunder and Spark 7.
Hey-o.
Plus or minus a few.
We'll get working on the swag here soon.
Did he do it again?
No, don't you do. Let's just end it like this. Bring us home, Dusty.
You all have this intense duty to give me shit.
Sidestep that duties comment.
I really feel.
We'll see you next time on the Thunder and Spark podcast.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Follow Tony Spark _.
Do Elmo.
Elmo?
Mm-hmm.
Elmo?
Elmo don't want to do podcast no more.
Elmo. So good.
Elmo want to leave now. Elmo want to dance. Yeah.
So good.
Do Mickey again.
Mickey? Oh, gosh. Take a break, Donald.
It's so good.
Oh, boy.
Now do Moira.
Moira. What? You can't just say do Moira. I demand more respect from that. You. What? You just want to call on me and have me do a prepared monologue?
Yes, you're an impersonation vending machine.
You better put some quarters in.
Here, let me push your temple. I think it helps.
You gotta push the button.
Push the temple button. All right, we'll see you next time, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for being here.